At KidsEmbrace, we make safety fun with a character for everyone, like we say, but safety is always our number one priority. As you can see by the number of characters that we do have and the number of seats, we try to reach out to all the kids there. We reach out to a certain type of child out there, like when a boy or girl gets older, they reach a point that they don't want to sit in a car seat anymore. I'm sure you guys have been there before. I'd be an officer in uniform at a check lane. A parent comes up to me and says, can you come over and yell at my child or discipline them because they're not sitting in the car seat? And I'm like, no, no, no. That's your problem to discipline the child, not my problem. But our concept behind KidsEmbrace is to create a product here like these seats that are very, very good, very safe, and get the kids so they want to sit in these seats, so they kind of bond with these seats. And you don't have to, uh, it's not yelling at them to get in the seats, but that's our goal behind all this, to make sure all the kids are safe. Now, we need to license from different companies, and this is a pretty big thing. We started our company back in 2007, but it was a few years before we finally got licensing from some of these companies. And right now, we're working with Nickelodeon, we're working with Warner Brothers DC, the Paw Patrol, we're working with Marvel, and we're working with Disney. And we can bring out new characters from these as time goes on, but it is challenging to make sure that we keep our licensing up and we can keep our company striving right ahead. Let's move on to look at Batman right there. He's one of our combination harness booster seats. We're going to go through some bullets right now. Bullet number 1, for forward facing, used for children between 22 and 65 pounds and 29 to 48 inches in height. And I'm going to stop everybody right now because a lot of people out there, most of you know that coming up December 5th of this year, 2024, there's going to be a change in the lower weight on forward-facing seats. Seats are going to have to be labeled above 26.5 pounds. So yes, we are in the process of gearing up to change our labels by December 5th of 2024. And people always ask me, well, what weight are you going to pick? And I don't know. I've asked that for the company. The only thing I can tell you is that I know it's going to be somewhere between 27 and 30. I have heard other companies say 30, but for ours right now, I'm not sure. The only best scenario I can give you is between 27 and 30 at this point. The height's going to remain the same. I'm going to skip one bullet real quickly because I want to talk about the belt positioning booster that it turns into. It can be converted into a belt positioning booster for kids at least 4 years of age and at least 40 to 100 pounds, 38 to 57 inches in height. There is a rule coming out again, December 5th of 2024, where booster seats now have to be rated starting at 40 pounds. We've already accomplished that. We went to this a year or two ago. We don't have to worry about changing our labels as far as that goes. We're good to go. And I do want to mention, when the forward-facing labels change, it's not retroactive. Whatever appears on your seat, whatever appears on your KidsEmbrace seat, that's the weight that you follow on the label. So now, when you are in the booster seat mode in any KidsEmbrace seat, it is going to be rated to start at least 4 years of age, between 40 to 100 pounds, and 38 to 57 inches in the high back booster mode. The no back booster mode, the height's a little different. We'll cover that as we go on in this PowerPoint presentation. That second bullet, we are not approved for use with an inflatable seatbelt. We have not crash tested with an inflatable seatbelt, and our company is not approved for an inflatable seatbelt. Moving down on the bullets, it says easy to use and use with latch, snap hooks, and top tether. Now, in our earlier stages of our company, we used a push-on lower anchor, and you will see in some of the slides that the push-on lower anchor might be displayed. I think in an installation video, it is displayed. So just to let you know, we've gone to the hook style now. Personally, I like the hook style better. I like the way it stores better. In our newer seats with the push-on, the storage spot was underneath in the bottom of the seat, and people would always have trouble with that because you couldn't quite get it in right. Personally, I like our new way a little bit better. Our Seat pad is machine washable, gentle cycle. But from experience, if there's any way you can sponge off or clean any type of pad, in my opinion, without having to take it off, much better to do it that way. And if you do put it in the machine and you put it on gentle cycle, do not put it in the dryer. I have seen seats not only from KidsEmbrace but other places where they do shrink in the dryer. So be careful of that. I've got a separate slide on the 2-position crotch buckle, and we're going to go into more detail on that when we get to it. I'm going to talk a little bit about the 3-position adjustable headrest as we go on, but just real quickly on that, on the back of Batman, there's going to be a button, and you have to center that button, push it in, and then you can lift the headrest. As you're looking at Batman right now, it's in the lowest position. It'll go up 1, 2 more positions. As you center that button, push it in, and manually pull it up. And then, of course, you have, comfortable contour, 2-position recline, which we're going to talk about on another slide too. And every seat has to have cup holders. And just that I'd like to throw in right now, I have noticed and I've heard talk that in the future, you're going to see car seats with their cup holders are also going to be designed where you can put a cell phone in there. Isn't it kind of strange the way things are changing as time goes on? Now, we talked about all these different booster seat features. Now let's take a look and see how you install our combination seat.
Hi there, I'm Vincent Mastrangelo, the Chief Operating Officer of KidsEmbrace, and I'm here today with 2 of our child passenger safety instructors, Tony Durisha and Paul Albright. Both of them are child safety advocates for KidsEmbrace, and we're here today to show you how to properly install the KidsEmbrace Batman car seat.
Okay, we're going to talk about the Batman combination seat today, and we're going to talk a little bit about how you install the Batman combination seat using the harness that's on the seat right now. First thing you have to do is, if you're using lap and shoulder belt or the seat belt, you need to find where the belt path is on the seat itself, and the belt path is located back here on the seat. Also, your other method of installation would be using the lower anchors on the seat. I'm holding one of the lower anchors in my hand right now. You also need to locate the tether on the back of the seat, and I have the tether in my hand right now. You want to use that tether whether you're using lower anchors or seat belt on the seat. After your seat is installed, you also have to be able to put your child within the car seat itself. There's 3 very important things that you must always know. These are harness slots right here, and the harness slot should be at or above your child's shoulder once the seat is installed and you put your child within the seat. This is called a chest clip, a retainer clip, and this clip should always be at armpit level when your child is sitting in the seat. Once your child is in the seat and you've buckled everything up and you've snugged the harness, you shouldn't be able to pinch any webbing on the seat itself. So remember those 3 things: the harness slots that are above the shoulders, the chest clip, retainer clip at armpit level, and the harness snug so you can't pinch any webbing. We're going to demonstrate the installation of the Batman combination seat. Paul's in the vehicle right now, and as I step off to the side, you'll see Paul begin to install the vehicle. The method that we are going to use this time is the seat belt in the vehicle. First, Paul is going to find the belt path on the combination seat, and as he has right now, as he is pulling the seat belt, lap and shoulder belt through the belt path, he is snapping the latch plate into the buckle, and he will now switch the retractor over into the locking mode. Once he has switched the retractor into the locking mode, Paul will now put his weight into the seat and tighten that belt so that it holds the seat down properly, and the seat does not move side to side or back and forth more than 1 inch. We are going to demonstrate the installation of the KidsEmbrace Batman car seat using lower anchors. Paul has now located the lower anchor on the left-hand side of the seat, and he has also located the lower anchor in the vehicle. He has just snapped in the lower anchor on that side. He is switching over to the opposite side, and he is going to pull on that side of the lower anchor system where a latch plate is installed. He is tightening the lower anchor system as he is putting his weight in the seat. And he now has it tight enough where that seat is not moving side to side or back and forward more than 1 inch. To properly complete, whether installed with seat belt or lower anchor, we need to locate the lower anchor
attachment in the vehicle itself. Paul has located that lower anchor attachment in the back of the car seat. He will now take the tether hook and attach it to the lower anchor attachment in the back of the car seat. Now he will snug that tether, and once he has snugged that tether, we have now completed the installation of our Batman KidsEmbrace combination car seat properly. To undo the tether, Paul will now reach at the latch plate at the back of the tether strap, and he loosens that strap with enough slack so that he may take that hook off of the tether anchor. And once it comes off the tether anchor, it is now prepared to take that tether and put it in the tether location on the back of the car seat where it should be located when in storage.
Okay, guys, I'm back. I hope you enjoyed that video. There's a couple things I want to mention. I did forget one thing on my last slide that just jumped into my head, and I want to talk about it real quick before we go any further. Batman's cape. When they made Batman and put a cape on him on this child's seat, I'm sure they weren't thinking about this, but I have had special needs instructors and special needs people come up to me and tell me, did you know that that cape can come in very useful in certain special needs situations? And I said, well, explain to me. And they told me that in certain situations like autistic children, that you can take that cape and you can wrap that child in that cape. And once they're wrapped, they feel much more secure in that seat, and they're going to sit more quiet in that seat. And we all know that if children are in position when that crash occurs, they've got a much better chance of surviving that crash. Now, that cape Velcros on and off, and it Velcros together. So a child's not going to strangle in it or anything like that because it can Velcro on and off. So I just want to give you that information as a possibility that maybe in certain situations you may inquire, and it might possibly be able to be used in a situation like that. Now, on this video right here, a couple things I wanted to mention. You did notice that when we demoed this, we didn't have the hook style, we had the push-on style. But even so, it's going to be the same type of installation, whether it's the push-on or whether it be the hook style. And if you noticed, there was a mat sitting under that Batman seat when it was installed. And I do have a separate slide on that mat, and I will explain it a little better when I get to that particular slide. Now, also, I probably don't need to mention this, but I just want to mention it to everybody out there as a reminder. No, you cannot use both lower anchors and seat belt with any of our combination seats when installing them. You use one or the other. They have not been crash tested with both of the seats. Now, why did we go into all this information on installation? Because installation is really important, because proper installation does save lives, my friends out there, and that's what we're here for. These pictures were sent to us a few years back from a family that had this crash, and it came back. The parents were extremely thankful that their young son survived that crash, sitting in that Batman seat in the back of the vehicle. You can see that this was a pretty horrendous crash, and the roof had to get cut off. In the information that was sent to us at the company, they said that their son in the back seat of the vehicle survived that crash with only one slight injury, and that was a little bruise to his cheek. Other than that, that child in that seat survived without any serious injuries. So I am sure that that seat was installed properly, and that child was put in that seat properly, and that can make all the difference in the world. I like to show this picture to let it sink into you guys that that's why we're doing this. And hopefully you guys can get the same passion out of this that I have after working 10 years as the captain in the traffic division at Joliet PD and supervising crash reconstructionists and having to go out to crashes like this. Because unfortunately, many, many times the ending is not so happy. And I have pictures in my mind that are never going to go away. And if there's any officers or firemen out there that have gone to crashes, they know what I'm talking about. So please keep doing what you're doing, and let's keep saving kids. Moving along, I'm going to go into some unique features about our seats that I go through with technicians and instructors, especially when I'm at conferences. Energy absorbing pads. If you look in the bottom of our seat, you will see there are two little foam pads there. They're constructed of EPP foam. They are designed to help take the load off in a crash, and they are not packing material. I can't tell you how many technicians ask me, show me that. I never saw that before. I want you guys to realize that's there. And unbelievably, but believably, about a month ago, I had a lady call me from the state of New York. And her question was, she told me, there's these little foam pieces at the bottom of my uh, seat at the harness system. And she asked me, are they supposed to be there? Well, thankfully, I was able to tell her why they were there, leave them there, they should be there. But if you are doing an inspection of our seats or at a check lane or whatever, definitely give a little peek to the bottom of the seat to make sure that those EPP foams are there, because they are part of the seat. Moving right along, I mentioned the two-position crotch buckle before. Now, I put a page of our manual into this presentation because I know everybody reads the manual. When I say this at conferences in person and I say, who reads the manual? Maybe 4 or 5 hands go up. But unfortunately, not everybody does. But I put this in there because there are a lot of things in manuals, like in ours. It says, use the correct position, read the manual, but it also says must be in the opening closest to, but not under the child. It doesn't say babe, maybe. It doesn't say recommended. It says must in big capital letters. So when you're positioning a child in one of our combination seats, please make sure that the crotch buckle is in the position in the opening closest to, but not under the child. And please encourage parents out there to look at the manuals and read their manuals. Another unique feature is our recline foot. Must be manually changed to create the recline. I put a little picture of our manual there so you can see the method on how you change the foot from flat under the seat into the recline mode. It doesn't change that much, but it changes a little bit. And there's a few reasons you might want to change the foot. Maybe it'll help you fit the vehicle better. Or another reason is, and here I am listening to special needs instructors, which I do all the time, and they tell me that that foot in a reclined position can come in beneficial to certain children in special needs situations. They say to me, especially a child with a breathing problem, that little bit of a recline can help them with their condition. So when you're talking to people, see if there are any conditions that something like this, either the cape or the foot, might be able to help. You can use this foot in both the harness seat mode and the booster seat mode. Now, I want to point out that when it is in recline mode, because we do have headrests in vehicles, there are situations where there might be a slight gap that does happen between the vehicle seat and between our car seat. Now, I'm talking about a slight gap. I'm not talking about a big gap. So the first thing we're going to do is see if we can take out the headrest. But if you can't do that, I have checked with my engineers and my company and everything else. And as long as you can get the proper fit on that seat, which is no more than 1 inch of movement side to side or back and forward, it's okay. We can live with that gap. As long as you can get that proper fit, as long as it's a slight gap and not a big gap. I think I know what we're talking about. And the reason I want to stress this, because I'm not going to mention companies or anything, but I know there was one company that just came out recently with a statement where they said, if there is a slight gap created at the back of our seat, you may not install that seat with the slight gap. So that's why I wanted to tell you about ours. It is permissible under those circumstances, as long as you can get the proper fit. When that seat comes out of the box, it's going to come out in the mode that's flat. So you have to manually switch it if you're going to use it. And these are things, if you ever go to a conference and I have a table there, please stop over and take a look at these things so you can touch and feel and know where they are when you're educating people out there. Another thing I like to point out to people is the highest harness slot on our seat. Now, when that head is all the way down, I talked about 3 positions on that headrest. The headrest needs to be lifted to view the highest harness slot. I'll talk about that second bullet before I leave the slide. The headrest needs to be lifted to view the highest harness slot. Because if you look over there on Tiana, you can't really see that highest harness slot. It's under the head. But if you look over at Batman, that's pulled up 1 position. You can see where the harness slot is. And now that Tiana's head is picked up, you can see where it is. Now, when I'm at a conference, I will stick my finger through that, through the material, and I'll show the people, I'll wiggle it and show them where the harness slot is. It's not a real lot higher, but it's a little bit higher, and it will help people because we know it's got to be at or above the shoulder. I want you guys to know where that's at. I want you guys to be able to educate parents on the proper place to put that particular, if we need a little higher harness slot. Now, I did mention that we don't want to okay, the bullet there says the highest harness slot should not be confused with lower anchor storage, and I'm going to show you why in this next slide. But orange webbing, what do you guys think before we even get into that? I personally like the orange webbing a lot. In person at conferences, I'll ask people who likes it. The majority of the people raise their hands. This we changed about 2 years ago. Everything is cost generated on, I don't care what industry you're working in, but we were able to change the color on that webbing without a huge cost to us. And KidsEmbrace combination harness booster seats are equipped with bright orange webbing to ensure visibility for both tether and lower anchors to increase awareness and help promote tether use. We want to promote that tether use whenever possible. We want people using that tether whenever possible. And that's why we did this, to get people more aware of it and hopefully start using it. Now, if you look at the back of that seat, take a look where I don't know if you can see my cursor that I just moved up there, but you can see where the lower anchors are stored with our hook style right now. It's up here right next to the highest harness slot. There's lower anchor storage. There is the highest harness slot. I don't want people to confuse one with the other because they're for two different functions. Now, right now on the back of this seat that you're looking at, happens to be a Batman seat, there is no storage for the tether. And you can see right in that picture that the tether is rubber banded. So if you have a seat like this, where there is no designated storage for the tether, make sure it's rubber banded. If it's not used, hopefully you're going to use it in every situation you possibly can. But if it's not rubber banded, so it doesn't become a projectile, go around the seat and maybe hit the child. In our newer seats that are just coming out, I'd say within the last year or so, there is an extra storage spot next to that lower anchor storage. There is a spot up there to hook the tether. So we have corrected that in newer models that are coming out right now. So now we're going to get into booster seats, high back booster seats. Again, let me refresh your memory. December 5th, 2024. All booster seats are supposed to go to a minimum of 40 pounds and above. So we did change our high back boosters already to a minimum of 4 years of age and children weighing 40 to 100 pounds, 38 to 57 inches. Our backless boosters have always been 40 to 100 pounds, so we don't have to worry about that. So what I say to everybody, anytime a KidsEmbrace seat is in booster seat mode, remember, it's a minimum of 4 years of age and 40 to 100 pounds. Now, there's a little difference in the height. I want to point out to you, if you look at the high back booster, the height starts at 38 inches to 57, but in the backless booster, it starts at 40 inches to 57. I just want you to keep that in mind as you're looking at it. Now, our high back booster does come apart, and it does convert to a backless booster. And when it's in backless booster mode, there is a strap attached to that backless booster that will adjust the shoulder strap on a lap and shoulder belt that's securing the child and positioning them properly. Another nice thing I like about the fact that it comes apart, because if you store it in the trunk or someplace in your vehicle, it's a lot easier to store when it comes apart. So you got the best of both worlds. You got a high back booster and you've got a backless booster. And of course, the seat cover is machine washable, gentle cycle. And I told you what I thought on that. Anything that you can sponge off without having to take the cover off a seat, I think is the much better way to do it if you can do it that way. And of course, we have our backless booster. Our backless booster, I've been talking about this before, 40 to 100 pounds, 40 inches to 57, starts at 4 years of age. Now, we have maybe 3 or 4 designs for the high back booster, but we have many more designs for the backless booster for the kids to pick from. And now we're going to get into something else our company does a lot in that. No, before I do that, I almost forgot here. This is our accessories. We have 3 accessories. We have vehicle mats, we have window shades, and we have organizers. Remember I told you I was going to talk a little bit more about that yellow mat that you saw in that installation video? Well, there it is. That is our deluxe vehicle mat. We make 2 colors. There is the storage in front. We also make a window shade. I love this window shade because there's no suction cups, no bars, no nothing. That's all soft. You can crunch that up like a piece of paper, and it adheres right to the window without anything to, it just adheres right to the window. They're beautiful. And then we have the deluxe backseat organizer. As you can see, it secures on the top where the headrest is, and it also secures on the bottom of the seat. And I really like the organizers too, because it's a place to put all those things that kids have to have. You know how that goes. And it gives them a place to secure them. So hopefully they don't become a projectile in the car in a crash. But those are the 3 accessories that we make, and we have crash tested all of these accessories with our car seats. So I can tell you that we authorize them to be used with KidsEmbrace car seats because they've been crash tested with us. We don't authorize them with any other seats. Now, as I said, we're going to get into the fact that we have new characters coming out all the time. And here I want to show you our line. It is the movie Frozen. And when I put Frozen up there, I always will say, and then we have the characters Elsa and Anna, and I made the mistake of one conference about a year ago saying Elsa and Anna. And I had a lady up front that corrected me immediately. She said, no, 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 no. That is not Anna, that's Anna. And she said, if you're going to talk to kids, you might as well learn how to pronounce it right. And I said, thank you, ma'am. I appreciate that. So from now on, that's Elsa and Anna from the movie Frozen. And then I move over and I look at the other characters there. And you've got you've got Kristoff, the handsome gentleman. You've got Sven, the reindeer. And that little snowman right there. The last conference I was at, I purposely hesitated on the snowman to see if I get a remark from the audience. Sure enough, there's this big fireman in the front row, raised his hand and said real quickly, that's Olaf. And everybody looked at him like, how do you know? And he quickly said, my kids tell me these characters all the time. So it is nice to know what the characters' names are because the kids know what they are and they teach the parents what the characters' name are. Right now, we just have Frozen in the high back and the backless booster. And we have more Spider-Man designs. Okay, these are our new Spider-Man designs. There's a little bitty fun fact right there. See that? It says Spider-Man is now the most profitable superhero in the world, which is true. Spider-Man has become, along with Batman, one of our most wanted, asked for superheroes. So that's good news about Spider-Man. But I have a little bad news because I know there's going to be fans of this particular, of these particular characters. This past year, we started up a line on Star Wars. And I just heard recently from my company that Star Wars has really not been going too good. So they are kind of cutting back on Star Wars, and they're not pushing forward as much as they are in other characters. That surprised me because I like Star Wars, and I thought that would be very popular with the kids. But just to let you know, Star Wars right now is in a decline with us. Here's our first, very, very first combination seat that is non-licensed from KidsEmbrace. As the slide says there, sky's the limit for the character seats that we come out for the kids. Astronaut has been very, very popular. I try to take him to the conferences when I go there. A couple of things to point out on Astronaut. If you take a look at him, he's our first combination seat that doesn't have a face. You can look into him and stare all the way off into space, but the astronaut doesn't have a face like all of our other seats. And another thing I really, really, really like about the astronaut. On his shoulder, he's got 2 American flags. And I'm very patriotic, and I love when I saw that American flags came out on the side of our combination seat for the astronaut. Those kids are happy. They're sitting in the seats, and that's what it's all about, making them happy. Now we have a new Batman seat. And this new Batman seat is the black Batman from the movie The Batman. I'm sure you guys have seen it out there. As long as I'm on this slide, I'm just going to do a little bit of a review real quickly here, because I'm going to talk about, we talked about, there's 3 position adjustable headrest. And like I said before, there is a button on the back of that seat. You need to center that button, push it in, and manually pull the headrest back up and down. When it comes out of the box, there's going to be a little cardboard piece in there. You take out the cardboard piece so the head restraint will function up and down. 3 harness positions. We talked about that because there's one I want you to, next time you see one of our character seats, take a look at that and make sure as a technician that you know where those harness positions are. And then we have the 2 crotch positions, like we talked about, the one closest to but not under the child. And as you can see on this slide over there in the height, it still says 22 to 65 pounds. It won't change until the end of the year, December 5th. And it won't be retroactive, but you will see a change coming in that. And as we move down, it's already talking about our booster seat being 40 to 100 pounds. So we've already complied to that. This is my favorite slide of the whole presentation. As I'm looking at the picture, on the right-hand side, there's a little girl that's sitting in Batman on the airplane. And I'm just going to say that, you can take Batman on the airplane, and I'm going to wait until our next slide to give you more information on that. I'm going to quickly move over to my right-hand side and look at those kids under the Christmas tree. In my opinion, they think they just got a toy for Christmas. But do I care? And probably not you either. Do I care if they think that's a toy? Heck no. As long as they love it, they like it, they will use it all the time. Their parents and technicians like yourself make sure that it gets installed correctly. And we and the parents and caregivers make sure that those children are put in those seats correctly. Those kids have the best chance to survive a crash. And that's what this is all about. We want to make sure those kids have the best chance to survive that crash. So if they have a smile on their face and it's Christmas or birthday or whatever the heck it is, and they think they just got the best present they ever got because they love these characters, that is fantastic. Because now they'll sit in that seat, they'll sit in it right, they'll be put in it right, and it will very, very likely save their lives, guys. That's the passion I have about it, and I hope I can at least send a little bit of that passion over to you when we talk about this stuff. There's a couple of things I want to talk about before I leave this slide, and that is, if you do not have a character seat in your kit, I would definitely consider thinking about getting a character seat, because when you do any kind of educational thing, like at a fair, wherever you're at a school, and you got a booth and you're educating parents and you have a character seat, it's like a magnet that draws people into your booth. And we all know that if we get them into our booth, we can talk about whatever we want to talk about. So if you don't have a character seat, think about it as an educational tool to draw people into your educational booth. Oh, about 5-6 years ago, we started taking Batman up to the Chicago Car Show, where we have a booth up there. And since he's been going up there, I've had the technicians that worked that booth for almost 2 weeks tell me that it has increased our foot traffic 4 to 5 times at the booth, because people walk by either themselves or with their kids and are just kind of go over to the booth to see, hey, what's going on over there? Let's take a look at this. So think about that as an educational tool when you're there. Paul told me a story one time, and you saw Paul in the other video, that he bought a Batman seat for his grandson. And when mom took him to the store the first time, it happened to be a Walmart store. When they parked in the parking lot, he turned to mom and said, "Can we take Batman in the store with us?" That's the kind of reaction we want to get. I don't care what kind of seats these kids are in, as long as they're in properly and it's all done properly. Now, I mentioned that we were going to go a little bit into airplane seats. Well, here we go. Boom. Hi, boys and girls, and all the parents out there. This is Tony Jerisha, and I'm coming to you from Lifesavers Conference, Denver, Colorado. And today, we're going to show you how to take Batman on the airplane with you safely to your destination. First thing we have to do is we have to put the webbing through the belt path, which we have done, and we are going to click into the buckle, which we have done. And now Paul is going to tighten this buckle just snug. It doesn't have to be real tight, but once we've got him snug in, you're going to be pretty much good to go. We're going to keep down the arms on the seat right here, so we have Batman in. Now, once you're sitting on the seat with Batman, he's going to go with you to whatever destination you are going to. And when you get there, you'll have Batman to put in the vehicle with you, so you will be safe when you're riding in that vehicle. And to all moms and dads out there, the biggest thing in the world we do is we want to keep our kids safe, whether in the airplane, whether in the vehicle. I thank everybody out there from KidsEmbrace. Please keep your kids safe. And a hi from Tony. I want you guys all to know that Joe from FAA, who has become a good friend of mine, when he came over to our booth, my booth, he says, "Hey, bring a seat over and you can practice a little bit on putting it on an airplane seat." Hey, that sounds like fun. He didn't say he was going to do a video. We got into this cold. So what you saw was just, oh my God, we're going to do a video on it. But there was a few things Joe wanted me to tell you that about that. If you are going to the Kim conference in August, he is going to have that those airplane seats there. And he said, tell everybody that if they want to come over and put a car seat on these, they can come over and practice anytime they want. So if you want to go see this, you want to see Joe, he will be at the Kim conference. I know I'm getting a little short on time, but I do have a story I want to relate to you real quick. And that is, I did have a situation that came up on an airplane this year on 2 flights right in a row. One flight was heading towards Charlotte, North Carolina. The other flight was heading to Orlando, Florida. And waiting for the airplane, I noticed that, well, Paul and I noticed that there was 2 people that were going to bring car seats onto the airplane as we're sitting waiting. So we struck up a conversation with them and told them that, as to what we were doing, where we're going, all that other kind of stuff. And if they needed any help in putting that on the airplane, to let us know. Well, on both flights, I'm sitting on my seat, and one of the parents comes up and taps me on the shoulder and says, you said you'd help us. We do need to help. So I went back, I helped them, and they were both Graco seats, by the way. We put them on the airplane, and both of them had the same reason they told me why they came and asked me for the help. Because they said when they were taught by a child passenger safety technician on how to properly install their seat, they only showed them how to use lower anchors because that's what they used in their vehicles, lower anchors. When they got on the airplane and looked at the lap belt and looked at the belt pads, that there was 2 of them, that's when they tapped me on the shoulder because they said we weren't sure and we wanted to make sure we did it right. So based on that, I would really encourage everybody out there that if you're educating a parent, absolutely positively teach them both lower anchors and teach them seat belt so they might not come into a situation like this, like I did. We just got to pass on this different stuff, my friends. Whoops. Now, educational purposes, I'll go a little faster right now. That's our big Batman seat. We take that out in California to some of the check lanes and to some of the stores, and kids love it. They get their pictures taken in it, and we can educate them because they come over to see what's going on. We've got Spider-Man, Batman, and we've got Minnie Mouse has big seats. And the Spider-Man seat was at Lifesavers in Seattle in 2023. And maybe even some of the attendees out there got their picture taken. Education is a big, 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 big thing with us. And I want to let you know that we are trying to educate and train all of our employees at KidsEmbrace to be certified child passenger safety technicians. This was our first class in 2017, and 3 of those in that class are still certified child passenger safety technicians. 2 still work for KidsEmbrace out in California. Chad on the far left side, as I'm looking at that behind Vincent, is an engineer who's now working for a different company in Indiana that makes car seat parts, but he's still in communication with me, and I still help keep him certified as a child passenger safety technician. And we're planning on having a class out there to train the rest of our employees. So when somebody calls out there, they won't have to hand the phone to somebody else to answer the question. They'll be able to answer it. And we're planning on having another class out there in California in the fall. And oh boy, I was going to make you think about this, but I hit the finger too fast. It's coming out. I was going to have you guys think who your favorite character was to see if you come up with Bluey. So we got Bluey coming out soon. And at 2 of my conferences in the past, 2 ladies at separate conferences asked me, when is Bluey coming out? Well, now I can say it's on the horizon. It's not too far. I think it's going to be out in 2024. So Bluey is coming, guys. Now I'm on my last slide. I hope, as you can see, we've been making fun since 2007. I hope through this presentation, I informed, taught at least one thing that you guys can take back to whatever you're doing and help save a kid's life. Because that's what this is all about. It's us going out there, making it safer for kids and being able to have a smile on our face. If you get one email that says, you helped save my kid's life, that's all you need. As long as you get one, it's a good thing. So please, and I hope you can get something from me to have some passion in this, because it really is worth it. On this slide right here, you see my contact information up on top, and 3 paragraphs down, you see for CPS Tech Discount, contact Donna Karamanica. Yes, we do have a discount. It's 25%. CPS and technicians, we don't have a limit on it, but you do have to order from our company. You do have to email Donna for your request, and she will work with you. She will get you something out of our warehouse in California. If you go on our website right now, every single one of our products is going to say sold out, sold out, sold out, but we are not sold out. I want to tell you that right now. We have an obligation to send inventory to places like Amazon and so on and so forth, but we do have some inventory out there, and we save that inventory. If we're contacted by technicians, by instructors, we want to be able to offer you guys a discount and be able to help you educate parents and educate yourself and help you teach classes and stuff like that. And if you do order a seat from Donna out there, out of our warehouse, not only 25% discount, but shipping is free too. So I just want you to remember that. Let's keep educating. Let's keep teaching. You see my information up there. That's my email address. That's my cell phone number. If you have any questions whatsoever, please reach out to me. If you go to any conferences in the future, please reach out to me. I've got 4 more conferences left, Kim. I'm going to Midwest in Des Moines, Iowa. I'm going to Salt Lake City, Utah for their conference, and I'm going to St. Cloud, Minnesota. So if you happen to be at any of those conferences, come on over to the table, introduce yourself, and we can talk some more. I hope I got done in time for you, Stephanie. You're welcome to take.
You did, Tony, and it was fantastic, as you saw by a lot of the hearts raising and the cheer signs raising. And thank you for that, especially when Bluey was introduced. That was great. And Megan had also put, because I know you were busy and you probably didn't get a chance to see what was being put in the different sections, but in the chat, no. Megan did also say, Tony, that she likes the cup holder, that because it can hold the phone. And that's a great way for parents to put their cell phone in that holder. It accomplishes the reminder to always check that rear seat and prevent that distracted driving as well. So that's a great comment, Megan, and we appreciate that. We do have some questions, Tony. So
good, great.
The first question, Charlene was just wondering, can you tell us where are these car seats manufactured?
Well, I have to say China. To be honest with you, most car seats are manufactured in China. And as far as I know, all seat covers come from China, from what I understand. I know there are several companies where they're manufactured in the US, but even some of the parts when they're manufactured in the US do come from China. I hope that changes at some point in time, but at this point in time, that's kind of it. When I worked at Recaro, we did have our own manufacturing company up in Michigan, but I do remember up there, we still had to order the covers from China. So unless something's changed, there are parts that you just can't find here in the United States. And hopefully that'll change sometime in the future.
All right. Christopher asked, are you able to raise the headrest while the seat is installed?
That makes it difficult because you actually have to reach in behind the seat and press that button manually. So my answer is going to be no. You have to loosen it enough to get your hand back there to press that button. And the reason you have to center it, because when it drops in, it drops into a locking position. So it's not going to move. It's locked in whatever position it is. Then you have to kind of jiggle it a little bit, center it, push the button in, then you can lift it up. And I like that system because when the child's in it, it's locked in that position.
Okay, great. Caitlin is asking, what is the tallest child height to use in the 5-point harness mode?
I would have to go back and on my first slide, and I can tell you that in just a second here, I think. But if I'm not mistaken,
Sure.
I know it was 57 inches was the, here, I can tell you real quick.
Okay, and we can always look it up too, Tony,
I
if
have
you
it.
like, but
I just got to look at it. 22 to 40, it's 29 to 49 inches in
Perfect.
in the 5-point harness. I didn't want to make a mistake. So it's 29 to 49 inches. And there's still discussion on that going on today, because how should we measure height? Should we measure it from sitting height or standing height? Because we know torsos on children are all different. So that is an ongoing question that's been going on for several years now, and it's still not answered.
okay. Mary asked a great question. In the video when Paul was installing the seat, she saw that there was a seat protector underneath the seat. Are there restrictions on the type of seat protector?
For our company, we make 2 colors, and I did have a slide that I showed you them, and they are called our deluxe mat protectors. We still have them. We're not concentrating on them, like that's not one of our main things we're pushing for, but I know they're still available in our warehouse. But I wanted to make sure that everybody knew about that, because if you see them out there, if you see one of ours, I can say that they are only authorized for use with KidsEmbrace car seats, because we crash tested them, all 3 of those products with KidsEmbrace car seats, and we will authorize them with our product. I can say this as a technician, as an instructor, that I was told that Graco now has come out with a statement that says you can use any kind of seat mat under our seats. And if you read that, then of course you can use it because they're okaying it. But if I'm not mistaken, that's what I was told. But everybody check it out just to make sure. Okay.
Another great question from Marla. If the foam under the buckle has been removed, can the parent order a replacement?
Yes, I'm told from our company you can.
Okay. All right. And then Mary asks, for the combination seat, do you allow use of the tether and lower anchors for the seat so that it doesn't become a projectile while it's in the booster mode for an older child?
Absolutely, yes. It can be used in both modes, and I encourage it, because remember in the old days when that didn't exist, we used to have to seat belt the seat in, and people never did that, and it would become a projectile. So absolutely, yes. In booster seat mode, use both of them, and you don't have to worry about as to how tight you get it, because all it's going to do is stop it from being a projectile and smacking you in the back of the head in case of a crash.
Yeah, that's perfect. Couple other questions, Tony. Is it allowable to machine wash a KidsEmbrace seat pad?
Yes, it is in the PowerPoint presentation. Actually, it's in there twice, but yes, it is. But I do caution people that there are times, and I've seen it, where people wash the seats, they throw them in the dryer, and they shrink. And then I've seen other times where people have trouble putting them back on after they wash them in their machine. Maybe they use a hot water cycle. I have no idea. But I have seen that happen too. If it's possible, the best method to do is use like a sponge or something or cloth and try to spot wash it if you possibly can. But yes, it is permissible to do that.
And then whether this is a statement or a question, but just like give you a chance to comment it on it, that all KidsEmbrace products meet or exceed the government safety standards and are up to date with the latest safety regulations.
Absolutely, positively, 100%. Every tool, that we make, the mold, the plastic mold is a tool and all that stuff, but every tool has been crash tested more than once, and it does meet and exceed all the requirements necessary. Now, I'm not sure if this is true, but I think because we have to go up past 26.5 pounds, and I think we've already did the crash testing to meet those standards. So yes, positively, and you will see it on the label, and it will say that on the label.
All right. And last question for you, Tony, is which position of the crotch buckle must be used for the KidsEmbrace?
The position that is closest to, but not under the child. And even in the instructions, they make a big deal about that. They put must in big capital letters, not maybe, should be, recommended. They say must. So when anybody out there is helping a family, caregiver, dad, mom, on how to properly install a child in our seat, please use the position that is closest to, but not under the child. That is the proper position.
All right. And then last comment for you before I give you a chance, any closing words that you like to add? Megan has said the force is strong and Star Wars will come back.
I hope so. I hope so, because I'm a big Star Wars fan too. And I do have a very good friend down in North Carolina, and he's a huge Star Wars fan. And I had to personally make sure that he got one of our boosters. So there are Star Wars fans out there, and I hope they do come back, and you're probably right. And for my ending comment, I want to give you a shout out, Stephanie, because you put this together very well. And thank you for the opportunity to share some of this stuff with all the people that joined onto the webinar. Yes, I'd like to tell you about our seats, but I want you to know I am not a salesman. If you want to buy one of our seats, it's great. I wanted to tell you the reasons that I think it's a very good seat to use, the reasons that you should have one in your kit and things like that. But I am an advocate, and I want you guys to have kids safely in any kind of seat out there, as long as they're riding in a seat. And I hope you get a little bit of my passion about this. Please, I hope it wears off on you. And please keep saving kids out there. And if I'm ever at a conference and you happen to be at it, please come and introduce yourself. And again, I live in Joliet, Illinois. If you're close enough to me, reach out and say hi.